Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Democratic View. I'm the hostess. My name is Phyllis Italiano. I've been doing this for quite a while, and I'm very happy to have with me today a bright young man who is a trustee candidate, and his name is Rick Drew.
Thank you, Phyllis.
What does the Rick stand for?
Richard.
Richard?
That's a nickname.
Yes, yes. Well, I like Rick.
Oh,
It
thank
reminds me of Casablanca and Rick's.
Go.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I was born in Huntington, New York, on the North Shore of Long Island, and grew up fishing and kayaking and canoeing on the North Shore, and ended up going to college at Southampton College in the early 1980s.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. I kind of fell in love with the South Fork and its natural beauty, and was going scalloping and fishing out here, and started studying marine science and computer science, and graduated in 1984, and spent about 25 years working in the computer field at various businesses on Long Island and New York City, and ultimately decided to make a career change about 7 years ago, and I wanted to spend more time with my family here in East Hampton, and took a job working locally over at the Main Beach Surf Shop, and I've been there ever since.
Gosh, what a lovely story. Yeah,
Yes.
I don't blame you. I know I always tell the story about when I came out here to visit a friend, a colleague at the Yonkers Public Schools, Nora Ferrari, and I turned that corner on 27, I saw that pond. I fell madly in love. And I said, what a place this is, and I decided the following year to find a little house for me to live in. And I did, and I was working still as an administrator in Yonkers Public Schools until I started getting backaches, and I knew why. I couldn't leave here. It's just too wonderful. And every time I take my swim in Gardeners Bay this morning, and I get out, I mean, I'm just so happy. It's just such a wonderful, wonderful place. And so, as a trustee candidate, what made you decide to do that?
Well, primarily my appreciation for our local environment, and seeing some of the problems that we're facing with water quality and the degradation of some of our local species of shellfish and finfish, and being a lifetime environmentalist, a fisherman, an outdoorsman, a water sports enthusiast, it really struck a nerve with me that we're really on the brink of losing some great natural resources, and we really need to have the best people possible working on these issues and putting their heart and soul into their role as an elected official in our town.
And we have quite a slate, the Democrats do, that having interviewed almost all of them as they screened as well, all of them actually, as they screened, I would say that we chose people who have the same issue at heart, which is keeping this place as it is, or we will lose it. A lot of people don't realize that.
Sure.
And we are at the brink. And so what are some of the things that you hope to do as a trustee?
Well, for the past several years since I started working locally, I've been trying to help raise money for organizations like the Peconic Baykeeper Organization, the Breast Cancer Research Foundation of the Hamptons, and it just seemed like this was the next logical step, after trying to help from behind the scenes to now get out in front and take on some tough projects like helping to clean up Georgica Pond. The current trustee board has let the dredging permits lapse. They don't recognize New York State. So it's very hard for them to get certain things done. That's a very...
driver's license that
Well, that's
say
what I
New
was
York
going to
State
say.
on them?
Right, look in your pocket, look in your pocketbook, and see if you have a driver's license. So in order to get some of these big projects done that are ahead of us, we need to improve communications with other governmental agencies like the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, like Suffolk County, and perhaps even the federal government. It's going to take an enormous effort to rectify some of the problems with our environment. You know, you look at our waters, go down to the bay, and they look beautiful. They look clear and clean, but lurking there are high levels of nitrogen and other pollutants that are affecting our habitat and our local species. You know, we've lost most of our eelgrass, the scallops, the hard clams, the mussels, the oysters. They used to be, you know, very prevalent, very populous, and now we're seeing little fragments of the habitat being left.
You know, I went to Fire Island for 35 years, because I'm years old. And I will tell you, in 1961, when I arrived in Fire Island, in Great South Bay, which is now dead, there used to be scallops dancing on the floor all along the shore.
Sure.
I mean, you could pick them up like, you know, like you would pick up a penny. And
Sure.
They were just incredible. There were so many of them. I must admit they were very hard to clean, even if you got a bushel. You only came up with a pound, but
Yep.
nevertheless, they were there. They were alive, and then
Sure.
slowly, of course, then brown tide came in the 80s, and
Yeah.
they were gone.
They were gone. In the early 1980s, when I first went to Southampton College, you could go snorkeling in some of the salt ponds along the south side of the Peconic Bay estuary, and you know, literally in an afternoon, fill your freezer with scallops. And just a few years after that, as you pointed out, the brown tides hit and decimated these wonderful scallop beds that we had all along the Peconic Bay estuary. And there has been some good work done with the East Hampton shellfish hatchery to try and reseed some of these areas. But the underlying environment is so stressed and fatigued from pollution, it's never really been able to come back to the former levels.
You know, it really breaks your heart when you think about it, because I always say, you know, being a Gardeners Bay devotee who swims twice a day there, you know, that I see the little fish all around, and you know, all of these fish jumping out of the water, and I can say I see my nail polish of my toes, but I don't fool myself.
Yeah.
I know what's there. I know
Sure.
that, you know, for instance, if you put in a new septic system right now, it's obsolete, because it doesn't really mitigate any of the problems that we have with the pollution, and that's Suffolk County.
Sure. You know, there's been a lot of discussion about updating septic systems, and I know organizations like the Peconic Baykeeper Organization are trying to craft some plans and strategy to encourage Suffolk County to set new standards for septic systems. You know, and one idea that I've been kicking around and some other people in town have been kicking around is that, you know, maybe when properties transfer, you need to update a septic system if it's outdated. And maybe if a restaurant's going to operate on a water body or close to a water body, they have to have a certain type of septic system. Because clearly right now, all of our septic waste is leaching into our water bodies. And it's not working out very well right now.
No, it's really, it's in a drastic state right now, and we just really don't pay attention to things. I'm going to say, I'm going to stick my nose out a little bit, but I was at a spring school meeting yesterday of facilities, and you know, that school, having been an elementary school administrator, I know all about bathrooms. I know all about how those kids have to go and use the bathroom all day long, you know, because I was always in the hall monitoring that kind of stuff. And
Sure.
I can tell you that, you know, they are not even thinking about upgrading their septic system, which they should do since they are right near Pussy Pond.
Sure. It's been hard, you know, growing up and watching such a deterioration of our environment. You know, as a young man, you know, it was just unbelievable how bountiful and fruitful, you know, the finfish were, the shellfish were, and, you know, to look at all the species that have suffered, you know, from the lobsters, clams, you know, just about everything, it's really heartbreaking, and that's been a real motivating factor for me to get involved in this election. And I think that the trustees could really do some amazing things for the environment, and could really chart their own course. Instead of being like a JV town board, let's be the varsity of environmental leadership for our town. And I think that'd be a great direction to see the new trustee board take.
Gee, I love that. I love that. That sounds wonderful. And also to work cooperatively with other governments. It's like, as you mentioned, New York State,
Yeah, it's important.
where we live,
Yeah.
and our own town government as well.
Absolutely. I think there's a lot of good work that can be done, but it's going to require cooperation. These are big projects that are ahead of us, and there's going to be some tough decisions to be made. And cooperation is key to any big project. Communication is key. Being able to have a business discussion with people at New York State, the town board, at the county, and craft a project plan and take on some tough issues and get the work done. That's going to be key.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I remember, gosh, even a few years ago, we used to go crabbing a lot too, in the
Sure.
nighttime and stuff. And
Absolutely.
we haven't been able
Yeah,
to see anything
no,
this
I mean,
year.
Georgica Pond is a great crabbing resource, but right now with the blue-green algae, it's not safe to go crabbing. So at the moment, we've temporarily lost a really amazing resource. I've read the book Men's Lives several times. It's one of my favorites, the story of the South Fork Baymen. And some of the men made their entire living right on Georgica Pond. And that one small water body, they would earn a year's wages basically crabbing and trapping and make the majority of their earnings right there. So it's such a powerful environmental resource, and to see that it's in such trouble now is really disheartening.
Well, I mean, in one of the last storms that we had with all of the wastewater that went into a lot of our ponds, there were 67 beaches closed in Suffolk County,
Yeah.
including Lake Ronkonkoma, which I used to pass as a child. I went to Jamesport in the early 50s. I was 2. No, not really, but I would see it
Sure.
passing by, and it was this beautiful, gorgeous lake. And when I get these bulletins from Suffolk County Health Department that it is closed, I mean, I think my heart skips a beat because
Yeah.
it's awful to think of things like that.
It's tough. There's so many conditional closings of all of our harbors to shellfishing when it rains, because the runoff just leaches all of the pollutants into the water, and it requires a certain amount of time for it to dissipate. On eastern Long Island, we are fortunate that we have the Atlantic Ocean nearby and Block Island Sound, so our harbors that are open to these bigger water bodies are flushing with the tide, so they benefit from that. As you get further west, even into the western Peconic Bay, we're seeing more brown tide, more rust tide, less tidal flow, less fresh water, clean water coming in. So, we're disadvantaged as we get further inland, and that's why we see more closures to our west. And we see Napeague Harbor being one of the cleanest water bodies in New York State. So I think that's a really nice statement to make, that we have one of the cleanest water bodies, and we really need to vanguard that and protect that area so it continues to be healthy and produce shellfish for our baymen and our community.
Gosh, it must have been a wonderful, wonderful life out here in those days. I don't know why my parents didn't move here and leave the Bronx. I mean, I certainly would have loved to have been raised and lived all my life out here with all of this stuff.
Oh, it's great. In the summers, my family used to go camping at Hither Hills. We'd do a 2-week camping trip every summer, and we would enjoy the natural beauty and go fishing and sailing, and it was great. We loved the North Shore, but there was nothing like going to Hither Hills and going body surfing and camping and playing wiffle ball on the beach. It was so much fun, and I think that I was hooked. Early on, there was no turning back.
I spent a couple of years and many trips to California and Los Angeles, and I remember the summer I came back after living there for a year and a half, almost 2 years in LA, in Santa Monica, by the way. Lovely area.
It's a nice area.
Lovely beach and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
When I got back here, I saw the difference in our sand and their sand. Their sand, which is really mud,
Sure.
and our sand, which is like sugar. And I kept saying to people, do you know what you have here?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what you have here? I mean, it is such an incredible beach that we have along the Atlantic, from the Fire Island Inlet all the way down. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, it's a special area. You know, working at the Main Beach Surf Shop, we get a lot of publications about surfing destinations and paddling destinations and kayaking destinations around the world. And I always compare their natural beauty to ours. And in so many instances, I say, gee, you know, I don't know why they're in the magazine and we're not.
Yeah.
And then secretly, I kind of say to myself, well, maybe that's okay.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, stay away. You don't want to come here. We have enough.
Yeah.
As it is, every time I go swimming, I have to clean up my area where I go. I was
Yeah.
talking to the garbage collectors today, saying, I don't know why I'm in charge of cleaning up Maidstone Beach, but I am.
Sure, sure. Well, we all have to be good stewards of the
Absolutely.
land. But, you know, we do have amazing natural resources. You know, when I like to go paddleboarding or kayaking, and I can pick to go on a beautiful harbor, on a Back Bay estuary, out in Block Island Sound for open water. We can go surfing along the ocean beaches. We can circumnavigate the lighthouse. It's just endless. There's so much natural beauty. If you love to get out on the water and go sailing or fishing or boating, you know, you really just have so much opportunity here to enjoy our natural beauty.
And one of the things I have to say that I'm really very pleased with is that the group that you are running with, you all seem to have the same goals, and you seem to be working very cooperatively together to achieve a better environment for us.
Sure. Early on, you know, we put together a little research project to identify the most important issues to each of the members of the Democratic trustee slate. And we built a basic spreadsheet and tabulated all the input from the various members and came up with our list of common goals, which focused on clean water, was definitely a priority, preserving and protecting access to our beaches and bottomlands and natural resources, defending the environment from pollution, improving communication with New York State and other governmental agencies. So, you know, we had 6 or 8 key items that we've really tried to focus on and be prepared to start to work on once we get elected.
And you will, because you also are on the same line with the independents as well.
Yeah, that was a big boost this year to have the Independence Party back many of the members on our Democratic slate. So we were very appreciative for their support and have got to meet a couple of great members of their team. Pat Manzer and Brian Burns are great people, and they're running with us this year. And Elaine Jones is a great leader of their party. So it's been a nice association, and we're very thankful for that.
Yes, well, we hoping that that this election will install all of you people so that we can move forward, because we seem to have been at a place where we were not keeping up with the times. For instance, it took a very long time for LTV to be able to film their meetings. And even at that, I would like to see those meetings move to the town board area so that the sound is a little bit better, because that little room that they're in right now, its sound is not quite as good. And if they moved up to where you know, all the planning board and the other boards do their meetings, I think we would have a much more effective meeting. So keep that under your hopper. That's one of the things, as an LTV advocate,
Sure.
producer, I would like to see that happen, because I like to watch all these.
Sure.
So I know what's going on.
No, you know, public access and transparency is really important, and having a better meeting venue, I think, would be very helpful. There are some trustee meetings that I've attended where not everyone can get into the meeting room. People are in the hallway or outside the building. They've come to participate, and they're really not given a fair chance. Some people get discouraged and leave, And that's not really facilitating good government. You know, I'd like to see everyone have a chance to participate in the meetings in the future, get more community involvement. And, you know, maybe you have, out of the 2 meetings a month, one of them could be at the smaller location, maybe more of a work session format, and then have your big meetings at the town hall and encourage public participation at those
Good
meetings.
idea. See,
So-
we're already planning and thinking ahead. Well, I like that.
Yeah,
Because it's true that, you know, you probably do need something like a work session where you plan what you're going to be doing and what you're going to be working on, and then another session which is more with the public participating. And
Yeah.
I certainly will.
great.
You
We'll
know,
look
I
forward
mean,
to it.
It's awful to think that people don't get the chance to get up there and present what they're interested in and what their, you know, particular, you know, whatever it is, whether
Right.
it be a gripe or a suggestion or a complaint or whatever. I
Right.
think it's,
We're just trying to understand a permitting process. You know, maybe they
Yes.
have to do a repair to their dock, or they want to get a mooring permit for their boat. You know, just, you know, nice things that enhance their quality of life here in East Hampton, and to be greeted civilly and professionally. And, you know, the other thing, you know, I think there's an opportunity to help better codify the trustee procedures so they're clearly laid out and made available to the public, so that when someone, you know, needs to apply for a permit or interact with the trustees at some level, it's easy to understand how to do that so they can efficiently use their time to accomplish their request.
you know, I didn't even, I forget that aspect of the trustees and that you issue these permits for people. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's a very important, and that there be a clear guidelines for people so they know where to go and how to do it, and, is very important.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there could be a nice update there, you know, along the lines of, you know, better television or videoing of the meetings, codifying the procedures, and maybe getting a little better access to the trustees through direct email accounts and things like that, where right now, if you contact the office, it has to go to a central email. So it can be hard to reach out to an individual if you're not, you know, given their personal contact information. So I think it would be nice, as with our town board and other government officials, to be able to reach out to them directly. So I think that would be
So in other
nice.
words, you're trying to bring them into the 21st century.
You know, I think there are definitely some updates to technology and record keeping and procedures that could take place. You know, we have the technology. I would encourage us to use it and help the trustees be more effective.
Well, that sounds just wonderful. I'm very pleased to hear that kind of stuff. You know what? I'm wondering how your campaign is going. How are you guys? What are you doing to put yourselves forward?
Well, you know, when we started, we established our common goals, and we built a Facebook page that we are all represented on. And we've been posting information about our personal objectives and some of our personal accomplishments in town, whether it's working with a charitable organization or helping to get out the vote through registering voters at community meetings, and just trying to spread the word through social media. We've also gone through the traditional process of palm cards and yard signs and print media and radio advertising, and the nice opportunity to be on your show today, and I know other members have been on the show earlier. So we're out there beating the drum. I know a lot of members are planning to participate in some of the community group meetings that are held to screen the candidates. We held a nice beach barbecue a couple of weeks back.
Oh, no, that wasn't nice. That was glorious.
That was a nice evening.
That was a wonderful,
So
wonderful
that was a
evening.
great night. And I'm hopeful we'll be able to do one more Meet the Candidates night for our team before Election Day. So if folks weren't around that weekend, that they'll have another opportunity to meet everyone. And I believe everyone's starting to get out and going to start stumping a little bit, and you know, get out to some of the popular meeting places in town and greet the public personally and hand out some palm cards and have good conversations with members of the community.
It's a lot of work, isn't it?
It's proven to be a lot of work, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's been rewarding and it's been challenging at the same time. It's a real balancing act. You know, I have a full-time job, I have a family, and
Have children?
I have 2 daughters. My younger daughter Carly is going to East Hampton High School, and she's swimming on the varsity swim team this year. And my older daughter Alyssa is finishing up college this year, her 4-year degree, and she has plans to go on to get an advanced degree, so we're supporting
Where
her.
does she go?
She's going to Empire State College this year, and then I think she's planning to go to Stony Brook next year. She's in the process of applying.
Stony Brook's a wonderful place.
She'd like to study occupational therapy, so that's a good school for medical sciences.
Oh, great.
Yeah,
great.
yeah. So they're busy.
Yes, I can
And
imagine.
I'm
Having
busy
families
trying to-
enough to keep. I mean, I live alone, and I'm so busy I can't believe it. You know,
Yeah,
just keeping
yeah.
up my house and cooking and things like that.
Oh yeah, no, so it's a busy life.
Yes, yes, especially when you are taking an interest in your community, which is what everybody should be doing, is taking an interest in their community and getting to know what's going on.
Absolutely.
It's the only way we're going to save this place, and saving East Hampton, you know, that's my life's work.
Sure, it's a worthwhile endeavor for sure.
Yes,
And
indeed.
you know, as I mentioned earlier, you know, I spent several years getting involved with local groups, you know, like East Hampton Volunteer Ocean Rescue, great organization.
Oh, I've had people here from Ocean
Yeah,
Rescue.
wonderful group of guys and gals.
Yes.
You know, just trying to get to know a lot of people, help support, you know, the organizations, the Baykeeper, of course, and the folks over at the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. And it was just really gratifying to be able to give back a little bit and,
Well, my
and to
dear,
learn.
I know you are going to be a wonderful trustee. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much for coming.
Oh, thank you very much.
We've been very happy to get to talk to you and get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to be on your show.
Yeah, I love it.